Once you start having to reform to someone else's idea of your creative outlet or process, then you are no longer your own inspiration. You are conforming to the societal idea of what you should be doing. Sunsets. I am the sun's rays at the end of the day. I am the sparkles of light playing in the clouds, making rainbows and shapes, opening up worlds only the imagination can see. I am the calm breeze on smiling cheeks, riding in bliss on a butterfly's wings. My hues of blues and pinks and reds bring visions of dimensions just out of reach. I allow the mind to find its space of infinite possibilities in intergalactic realities. The soft-spoken song of the sunset sweetly whispers the promise of tomorrow, filled with adventures and creative explorations. My name is Heather Rodwell. I am first and foremost a poet, a person who has always been creative. I've always loved putting pen to paper and seeing what happens from it. Whether it's writing, poetry, painting, little stories. I've done a few short stories. One of the short stories I wrote, the entire story came true, and then that was when I realized the power of words and the fact that I am actually casting spells every time I write a poem. So I think I was about a teenager when I realized this, and I changed the way I wrote, and I made it into more positive, uplifting, inspiring content.
She started writing poetry and small little stories and what have you from about the age of 6. She started writing very dark stuff.
And I thought, what is in my child's head that she is writing this dark stuff? But she also enjoyed reading Stephen King. So I kind of thought, okay, that's where it comes from.
You know, everyone who's a teenager has those depressive, I hate the world, and I wrote a lot of hectic, intense poetry then, of which I don't look at anymore. Because we're connected to our emotions a lot more deeply, we have got a lot more that we're able to express to the rest of the world because of conditioning from generations and generations and generations. You're not allowed to express your emotions, you're not allowed to feel emotions, especially with the male collective, the masculine collective of the planet, and also the females. I mean, I personally don't like to express my emotions, not my deepest, darkest emotions, because I feel like that's too much for another person to handle if I were to express fully how I really feel. Which is why poetry and art and sculpturing and creating is a needed outlet for the creatives. And that outlet not only is helpful to the creative being able to express themselves, but that outlet is also helpful for the people who don't know how to express, or even if they have those emotions within them. Like in music, for example, there's so much emotion in music, and those people who write the music felt that feeling. That's why they had to express it.
From as young as I can remember, she used to write poetry and draw. When she first started to write, it wasn't necessarily poetry, it might just have been short stories.
And she's been doing it, and she got her inspiration from my mother. And my mother was a bit of a hero to her, and my mother taught her quite a lot in the, let's say, the art of writing.
My grandmother was a poet and story writer, and she had a few things published in a few different places, and I was inspired by her. She was very structured in the way that she wrote and the way that she came across, and also I think it's a generational thing as well. People of that age, that era, were suppressed, so that immediately cut off a lot of her creative side, because once you're being forced to use the wrong hand per se, your whole brain has to rewire, and now she had to start using her logical side, and her creative side diminished, and that's what caused her to have to stick to the rules in the writing sense of the word. And she studied journalism, which made her even more bound in with the rules.
Heather's more onto the different, on a different kind of level to my mother, or her grandmother, if you want to put it that way. And but you can see my mother's influence. But she used to write articles, and she wrote more like a journalist, journalistic kind of writing, which Heather doesn't like to do. You know, actually writing facts, you know, like I went to see this, or a crime scene, or a fire, or what. She says, I'm not writing that, I'm writing from my imagination.
Call in my angels, ancestors, dragons, elementals. Bring out the truth that needs to be spoken at this present moment. Alright, please place your hand, hover your hand over the cards and ask the question.
Can I get advice from the universe, please?
There you go. A sudden, drastic change in perspective. Something has happened that has flipped your life upside down, but the right way around. Because of this understanding, you're going to be working even better in unison with yourself and the people around you. So this is not just a lesson, but it's also an evolution for your personal journey. You can't express something without having felt it. And that is why we exist, the empathic side of the world. We also, because we're empathic, we take on the emotions of everyone else around us. So when I go into a busy shopping center, I need to put a bubble of protection around me energetically, or else I'm absorbing everyone's pain, everyone's heartache, hurt, depression, their bad day, their stubbed toe, all of that sort of thing. And it's not healthy. The ideas that come with the poetry that I write is all channeled from the source of all existence, like any creative. And it's just the way in which I channel it through using poetry, whereas other people would use whatever medium or form that they use their creative process. And I get my inspiration from nature. I love nature. It's my power. It's my superpower. And I love oceans, beaches, water. Water is a very powerful source. It's got so much information inside droplets of water you can't even fathom. Wandering along the roads that life gives us, to journey and explore, we find a sense of belonging, as though this is where we're meant to be. Without searching for new experiences, we sit in the comfort of that which we know. What we don't know is the world outside of our safe little bubble is piling up with possibilities for us to discover. and grow through these different facets of life. My head spins with excitement of living in this moment.